Hey guys, what do you call cheese that's not yours? Nacho cheese! That was some quality cheddar cheese. Well, welcome to the 2014 Bracketology special featuring yours truly, Dr. Nacho. Happy St. Patrick's Week to all. And let's just get right down to business. I just came back from the BMO Harris Bradley Center where I was scouting out American, BYU, Oregon, and Wisconsin. They all had good practices. So let's get down to business here. Let's start in the East round at 60, or the South round at 64. First, we have Florida versus the Albany Great Danes. Not much to see here, folks. The Gators easily. Next, we have Colorado versus Pitt in the 8-9 matchup. And I think you can count on the Panthers here taking out the Spencer Dinwiddie-less Buffaloes. Remember, the Panthers started out the season 16-1 earlier, only to lose to a very good Cincinnati team by 1 point. Next, we have the 5-12 matchup, VCU versus SF Austin. What a great matchup we have here. I think the experience of Javonte Reddick and Travion Graham from a couple years back is going to be the answer here, and the Rams take it easily. Next, we have 4 UCLA versus 13 Tulsa. Tulsa played a brutal non-conference schedule, and UCLA is far from overrated. Is from the overrated Pac-12. I'm taking my first upset special here on the heels of an 11-game win streak, the Golden Hurricane. Next, we have the number 6-11 game, Ohio State and Dayton, both from the state of Ohio. The Flyers barely snuck in here, and I expect the Buckeyes actually to fly over the Flyers in this one easily. Next, we have the 3-14 Syracuse versus Western Michigan Broncos. I wouldn't worry much about the Oranges. Problems late in the season here. Let's go with the Orange easily. Next, we have 7-10 New Mexico versus Stanford. And what a great 7-10 matchup there is here. But the great high-low game of Cameron Bairstow and Kendall Williams will propel the Lobos to victory, taking New Mexico. Finally, we have the 2-15 matchup between Kansas and Eastern Kentucky. As much as I think the Jayhawks are overrated, I'll easily take them over the Colonels. Next, we have the South round of 32. I'm going to stay within the regions this year and go through the region completely and then go into the Final Four talk. South round of 32, Florida versus Pitt now. Pitt is better than their record suggests, and they are 4-0 in overtime and double overtime games this year. But this game won't be close, doesn't really matter, Gators. Next, we have VCU versus Tulsa. Tulsa will be on the heels of a great buzzer-beater win over UCLA, but I think they'll simply be too tired, and in an up-tempo game, the Rams will easily run past them into the Sweet 16. Next, we have 6 OSU versus number 3 Syracuse. And this will be such a great defensive struggle. But I think the Orange's late season struggles will come back to haunt them, and the Buckeyes will have just enough power to squeak by. Finally, we have number 7 New Mexico versus number 2 Kansas. I think Kansas is overrated to begin with, but without Joel Embiid, there's simply no way they can stop the 2 twin towers of New Mexico, Cameron Bairstow and Alex Kirk down low. Lobos who win by 8 over a downtrodden Kansas team. Next, we have the South Sweet 16 and Elite 8 matchups. I'm going to take Florida versus VCU. Can VCU upset Florida? Sure they can, but they haven't played a defense remotely as good as the Gators, who suffocate the Rams here easily. Next, we have Ohio State and New Mexico. This will be the best game of the South region without a doubt, but I simply don't see that Ohio State will be able to keep up with the speedy New Mexico, and the Lobos are going to present too many difficult matchups for even a good Buckeyes defense to stop. I'm taking the Lobos to get into the Elite 8. Finally, we have the number 1 Florida Gators versus the number 7 New Mexico Lobos. Now, Florida won't have played a team as good as the Lobos since Wisconsin in the first week of the season in November. Will they really remember what to do here? Well, for their sake, I hope so, because if not, the Lobos will win this game. But I'm going to take the senior leadership of Patrick Young, Will Yagetti, Scotty Wilbekin, and Casey Prather here. It's going to be way too much for the Lobos to handle. And these Gators are just chomping at the bit for a ship this year. And they'll be cutting down the nets in Memphis and heading to Arlington and Cowboy Stadium. Next, we have the East round of 64, Virginia versus Coastal Carolina. I've always wondered what the hell a Chanticleer is. I'm taking the Cavs. Number 8 Memphis versus number 9 George Washington. Apparently GW had their logo replaced by Georgetown on the official tournament t-shirt. Maybe it's because they aren't any good and the A10 is overrated. I'm taking the Memphis Tigers. Number 5, Cincinnati versus number 12, Harvard. And you might be tempted to take the Crimson here. A lot of people are. But they haven't beat a single tourney team this year and haven't played since March 8th and have nobody who can stop Sean Kilpatrick. Bearcats easily. Next, we have Michigan State versus Delaware. Let me just tell you, Sparty is just balling here. Expect them to run over the Blue Hens. In the 6-11 matchup, we have UNC versus Providence. Now, this is an incredibly intriguing matchup with a hot Providence team off a Big East championship. UNC has a talent to win this entire thing if they play well enough. I'm taking the Tar Heels with the larger contingent of fans in San Antonio easily. Next, we have number 3 Iowa State versus number 14 North Carolina Central Eagles. Now, I want you to follow me closely here. North Carolina Central beat NC State, who beat Syracuse, who beat Baylor, who beat Iowa State. I'm taking the Eagles, North Carolina Central, monstrous upset, biggest one of this tournament. Next, we have number 7 UConn versus number 10 St. Joe's. Shabazz Napier is by far my favorite player in this tournament. I like Kemba Walker a couple years back, and I expect this UConn team to be unfazed in a victory over a good Hawks team. Number 2 Villanova versus number 15 UWM. I really wanted to pick an upset here for my Milwaukee fans. Evidence just isn't there. Villanova easily. Next, in the round of 32, we've got number 1 Virginia versus number 8 Memphis. Now, Virginia has a stifling defense, and it's probably the hottest team in the country. But they haven't played a team as fast as Memphis all year who's going to make them run. And I take the solid senior backcourt and Michael Dixon Jr. and Joe Jackson easily in this one. And the Tigers in a wake-up call upset over the Cavs. Next, we have number 5 Cincy versus number 4 Michigan State. Sean Kilpatrick let me down a couple years ago when I was all about the Bearcats, but now he's a senior and I'm still pissed at him. Sparty rolls. Next, we have number 6 UNC versus number 14 North Carolina Central. They just beat down the middle brother NC State. Now, can they take out the bully big bro at UNC here? No. Tar Heels. Let's go to number 7 UConn versus number 2 Villanova. Villanova's probably the quietest 28-4 team in history, but they lost 4 times to the 3 best teams they played: Syracuse, Kansas, and Creighton. Now, UConn is a good team, so I'm going to take the Huskies in this. Next, we have East Sweet 16 matchups. Number 8 Memphis versus number 4 Michigan State. Now, statistically speaking, these two teams are nearly identical, but I have to go with the intangibles here, and Sparty's experience, coaching, and conference strength of schedule will just shine through here. Sparty rolls. Next, we have number 6 UNC versus number 7 UConn. This will be a great unexpected matchup between historical giants, and Kevin Ollie's just doing a great job since Calhoun's departure. But UNC on paper seems to have the edge. I don't know who to take, but I think I'm going to take UConn. Playing in New York will feel right at home back in the good old Madison Square Garden. Finally, we have the number 4 Spartans versus the number 7 UConn Huskies in the Elite 8 matchup. Now, there's a reason pretty much everyone has the Spartans moving on from the East, and it's because this is a terrible and incredibly weak region. As a result, you'll see a lot of surprises here, a couple of upsets, but the Spartans will eventually take a close one as the Huskies just simply do not have the depth to take out a determined Sparty team, and I expect them to cut down the nets and head to Arlington. We'll take a quick commercial break now, but we'll be right back and go through the West and the Midwest matchups and straight into the Final Four. Well, let's hop right back into, let's hit up the West round of 64. Number 1 Arizona versus number 16 Weber State. And I'm going to take the Wildcats here in this monumental upset. The Arizona Wildcats, that is. Number 8 Gonzaga versus number 9 OK State. And I hate Marcus Smart, let me tell you, and hate the love that the Cowboys are getting. But let's be real, he can ball. And in a fast-paced game, I'll take the Cowboys 93-89 in a thriller. Number 5 Oklahoma versus number 12 North Dakota State. And as good as the Bison have been playing, I simply don't think they have the firepower to get past the Sooner squad that puts up over 82 points per game. Next, we have number 4 San Diego State versus number 13 New Mexico State. And the Aztecs are led by Xavier Thames at point guard. He's going to put up a triple-double in this game and simply going to make mincemeat of the Aggies here. Take the Aztecs from San Diego State. Number 6 Baylor versus number 11 Nebraska. Huskers have never won an NCAA tourney game. How about this year? I'm going with the pure gut call here. Huskers winning it. Tim Miles continues a historic turnaround in Nebraska. Number 3 Creighton versus number 14 Louisiana Lafayette. Creighton will have their hands full with the Raging Cajuns in a fast game, but I'm going to take the Blue Jays with Doug McDermott putting up 42 points. Number 7 Oregon versus number 10 BYU. I just finished scouting these teams in their practices, their open practices at the Bradley Center. And I'm really conflicted here, and I'm really intrigued that the committee decided to make a rematch of a team that's already played this year. BYU lost earlier this year at Oregon, 96-100, but on a neutral floor. I think we're going to see something different. I'm taking the Cougars in a high-scoring affair, 97-89 BYU. Wisconsin should be worried, though, of whoever comes out of this. Next, we have Wisconsin versus American, and in a de facto home game in Milwaukee, the Badgers roll easily. In the West round of 32, we got Arizona and OK State. I'm incredibly on the fence here. The Cardiac Cats have only played one ranked team all year, and that was a shitty Duke team. And the OK State I know that OK State had a 7-game losing streak this year, but I think they're past that, and I'm taking the Cowboys here in a huge upset. Number 5, Oklahoma versus number 4, San Diego State, and in a matchup featuring the 7th highest scoring team in the nation and the 2nd best defensive team in the nation, I say defense prevails, Aztecs. Number 11, Nebraska, number 3, Creighton. Nebraska's Cinderella run, unfortunately, will come to an end here as McDermott puts up his 2nd straight 40-plus point game, the Blue Jays. Number 10, BYU versus number 2, Wisconsin. I think the Badgers will struggle in this game. It's going to be a high-scoring affair, but the edge at home in Milwaukee, they won't give it up. I'm going to take the Badgers to win 78-75. In the West Sweet 16, Oklahoma State and San Diego State, the Aztecs have only allowed two teams this year to score more than 70 points per game against them. Meanwhile, the Cowboys have scored less than 70 points only twice this year. When push comes to shove, I think defense prevails again. I'm taking the Aztecs again. Number 3, Creighton. Number 2, Wisconsin. Doug McDermott is a great player, and I'm sure Steph Curry will be in the back of Gosser's and Brust's minds from a couple years ago. But I think one great player versus one great team will finally come back to haunt Creighton. Badgers squeak by again. Next, we got the Aztecs versus Badgers in a matchup of defensive powerhouses. This is going to be the ultimate chess match, and since Bo Ryan's a better coach, I'm taking the Badgers cutting down the nets in Anaheim and heading to Arlington and squeak by in a 49-47 thriller. Let's go to the Midwest round of 64 here. Wichita State, Cal Poly. No shocker here. The Shockers take it. Kentucky versus Kansas State. I looked hard, but I simply couldn't find any evidence of Kansas State pulling an upset here. I'm taking Kentucky. Next, we got SLU versus NC State in the 5-12 matchup. Now, SLU has a great defense and point guard in Jordair Jett, but I just simply think that they can't stop TJ Warren. If you saw the Wolfpack yesterday, they are playing really well. I'm taking the Wolfpack in the upset. Number 4, Louisville versus number 13, Manhattan Jaspers. Let me tell you, the Jaspers sure can score, and they can keep up with Louisville, but Louisville's defense is just too good. The Cardinals win. Number 6, UMass, and number 11, Tennessee. Tennessee will just be a little too tired, I feel, in this game after coming off the play-in game to stop little 5'9" guard Chaz Williams of the Minutemen. Minutemen take it. Next, we got Duke and Mercer. Once again, I feel that this could be an upset, but probably not Dookie. Number 7, Texas versus number 10, Arizona State. And I just don't think the Sun Devils will be able to slow down the physicality of Holmes and Ridley down low for Texas. I take the Longhorns, who will win a tight one. And then finally in this round, we got number 2, Michigan, number 15, Wofford Terriers. Nothing to see here. Michigan wins, playing close to home in Milwaukee. Midwest round of 32, number 1, Wichita State versus number 8, Kentucky, sorry. Now, all the pundits are taking Kentucky here, but give some respect to a Final Four team from last year that lost nobody important. I'm taking the Shockers here, 74-57. This won't even be that close. Number 12, NC State versus number 4, Louisville. The Wolfpack's luck and fuel is just going to run out, and the Cardinals are going to beat them up, Louisville easily. Number 6, UMass. Number 3, Duke. Simply not a single metric that I analyze as the Minutemen pulling an upset here, and unfortunately I can't make up a reason to pick them to win. Blue Devils again. Number 7, Texas versus number 2, Michigan. Now, I feel bad for all the people in Milwaukee that have to deal with all the Michigan fans coming in. All the Michigan men wearing the ties and stuff. Unfortunately, a Saturday night Wolverines win won't help that cause. Let's go to Midwest Sweet 16, Wichita State versus Louisville. What a rematch of last year's Final Four this is going to be, where the Shockers only lost by 4 points. Very easily could have gone to the national championship. And this year, the experience of the Shockers is going to help them. Everyone's putting them out here. I'm taking the Shockers here, by winning by 4 this year over the Cardinals. Next, we have number 3, Duke, and number 2, Michigan. Let me tell you, if Mitch McGary was playing, I might reconsider this pick, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to pick the Blue Devils, and Michigan simply won't be able to avenge their 10-point loss from earlier this year. Finally, Wichita State versus Duke. Will the Shockers be able to shock through a brutal road that they had already playing Kentucky, Louisville, now Duke, huge power teams? This one's going to be a barn burner, but I think the depth of the Shockers will shine through, and Coach K can go home trying. We're going to take one more quick commercial break here, and then we'll be right back with the Final Four and championship picks. Hope you stick around. Alright, we're back here for the Final Four and championship matchups. Let's get right down to what's going to go down in Cowboy Stadium in Texas. I'm so really angry that the NCAA is putting these games in a football stadium. But let's just get right down to business. First, we'll have number 1 Florida versus number 4 Michigan State. And this is going to be a great matchup of two great power teams. Florida simply won't have played a single team this good all year. Really looking forward to this game. It's going to be a chess match between Billy Donovan and Tom Izzo. I'm taking Sparty in this one on a Gary Harris last-second three-pointer. Next, we got number 2 Wisconsin versus number 4 Wichita versus number 1 Wichita State. This will be a great game. Wichita State's been in a Cinderella run. I really don't know who to take here, but I think Wichita State's experience is going to shine through. Wisconsin is going to shrink a little under the bright lights of Arlington and Cowboy Stadium. They haven't played in one of these big games yet, but next year Wisconsin will come back better than ever, experienced, and they very well could turn the tables and become like a Wichita State in this game. But I'm taking the Shockers here by 3 points. Let's go to championship. Wichita State versus Michigan State. David versus Goliath. Reminds me a lot of the game 4 years back when Duke played Butler. I really don't know who to take again here, but eventually I think that the Spartans' experience and their real hunger and thirst for a championship is going to come through, and David's going to shrink under Goliath. I'm taking the Spartans winning the national championship. Michigan State Spartans will be our national champion. Put it down. They're cutting down the nets in Arlington. Great story. Tom Izzo finally wins his first chip in almost 14 years now, and I'll be really happy for them. Well, thanks for joining me this year for my special. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys take some of my advice. It's been good the last couple of years, if I may say so myself, and all being as humble as I can. So thanks again. Quick shout out again to my sponsor Taco Bell for putting this game out for the first time in HD TV. So take a look at this, and I hope you all have a good one, and we'll see you next year. Take care.